Hi everyone and welcome. We're just waiting to see if this page loads. Just going to give it a couple of seconds. Okay, so we are live. Thank you, Facebook. Fingers crossed everything is going to plan so far. Welcome. Thanks for joining me on this beautiful Sunday, where you might be somewhere else in the world and it's not Sunday. But thanks again for joining me on here. Now, in the past, I have used lots of different third-party tools to record all of my tutorials, run my live presentations. But the last week, I've been playing around with Facebook Live, and I actually sort of now remember why I actually like using third party, because I actually like being able to see all the comments really easily, and I like to be live actually visually so you can see me. But unfortunately Facebook Live doesn't allow me to share my screen and for you to see me. So note to self, Trudy, action. I've got a little notepad here and I write down actions, which is what I'd love you to do today as well in this session. For me, my action is to make sure I use products that serve me better. So there you go. Okay, so at the moment I cannot see any comments or anything there. It happened a couple of days ago when I also did something on Facebook Live, so I really do apologise if you're writing comments or you've said hi and I can't see it. So I'm just going to keep moving along, and what I'll do is once we get to the questions, I might just move to another screen. I've got a couple of screens here in my studio, and I'll check to see, because I really do want to answer questions as much as I can. So I'll keep moving through. So once again, welcome to Canva Club. If you're new, if you've been here for a while, I really appreciate having you sharing in this creative space. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you today is about how easily and quickly I developed a whole heap of products. And the reason I want to share this is because I created a lot of these products without really not doing it on a full-time basis, really doing it when I was unwell and recovering from a health crisis. And so if I can do it with no energy, pretty much no memory — I'd lost my memory at that stage after being admitted to hospital and put on some medication. I'm highly sensitive to medication, and so all of these that you're going to see today was created when I really was in my worst health phase of my life. So that's why I know that it's possible for you to create something amazing and for you to share. So just I guess one of the things I like is I've been doing business coaching for a very long time. I've also been teaching in the spheres of holistic and behavioural psychology for at least the last 15 plus years, and also running a therapy clinic. And one of the things is I don't like just to talk about things. I love to be able to get you to invest this little bit of time and actually come up with some sort of what we call takeaway, something that you can take away from this little session to actually help improve your business. So today we really are talking more about business, because that's what the topic is about. So if you can grab a notepad and pen, be ready, because I can tell you this: I've ran hundreds of workshops, and one of the things that I find is sometimes while you're sitting there and you put aside the time just to invest this bit of time in yourself without interruptions, you might get what I call is an aha moment. It's an idea that comes to you because you're not thinking about the millions of other things that you have to do. You're not in a state of overwhelm. You're just sitting there peacefully thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna listen to Trudy for this little short time. But you might get a really outstanding idea, or an idea that you want to follow through with. So grab a notepad and pen, have it handy, and just jot down any notes that come up. It might not even be anything related to this, but it might be something that you're ready to create. Now, you've heard this saying, but the mind is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. And using Canva is no different. So in this particular group, we talk about Canva. In the past, I'm an old Photoshop user, InDesign, publisher. I've used so many, I'd call them more technical graphic or creative studio suites. And so for me, Canva, I find a lot easier, but it gets easier the more and more you practice. And so keep in mind that sometimes when you're starting something new, you may not get it to look exactly the way you want to start out, but really just building that muscle, building that Canva muscle comes from practicing, which is exercising your Canva muscles. So for those that aren't aware of where I'm from, well, I'm actually not from the Gold Coast, Australia. I live in the Gold Coast, Australia. I must note here to put a beautiful part of South Australia called Renmark, which is where I was born, and I was there a couple of weeks ago visiting my beautiful parents and family. But I live in the Gold Coast here in Australia, and I guess the reason I love it is because it's warm pretty much all year round. And I love the ocean. I attempt to get into the water at least 2 to 3 times a week, and then 20-minute drive away is a forest, and so I love both parts of nature. And so I would love you to tell me where you're from in the comments below. But for me, one of the things I love about this particular image is that one of the things I want to talk to you about is the fact that we are very visual creatures. When you're doing any sort of marketing, branding, whatever it might be, you must keep in mind that a large percentage of the population are visual people, which means they love to look at colours, they love to look at images. Of course, they're going to be happy to have a few words on whatever document you're producing, but ultimately keep in mind people do prefer lots of nice images. And if you haven't yet watched the Psychology of Colour tutorial, either within Canva Club or on YouTube, then please go and watch that, because that gives you a really good understanding about how important it is to use colours that people enjoy looking at. Not just the colour that you love, but something that maybe your audience and clients and community enjoy looking at. So just in brief, I guess I've taught 100+ topics in lots of different areas, primarily community development, behavioural psychology, grant funding and business development. And I guess one of the most rewarding times for me was I spent 12 years as a manager of community services within local government. Now the reason I love that is because I have a desire to serve people. It's in my nature. I was born to serve people. I'm one of those people that's not really too interested in trying to flog off a product. I'm not one of those people. I actually used to teach sales training, but for me it's all about how can I be of service to someone? How can I provide a solution to someone's problem? I'm not really interested in just making money, and that's not that there's anything wrong with making money, but at the end of the day it has to come down to what we value. And so for me, having spent all of that time in community services, it was very clear that I've always enjoyed being of service to people. And so today during this session I want you to, I guess, get clear about what it is that you do and why you do it, because at the end of the day mindset is really crucial. Understanding your values and your beliefs is really crucial, but also understanding that sometimes you might sabotage yourself or you might have limiting beliefs and a whole range of other things, because psychology overall, your own psychology, is really important when you are setting up and moving through the process of running a successful business. So again, we're not going to talk a lot about that, but for me, I guess it's good for me to clarify with you what I have a deep desire to do, and hopefully maybe on that piece of paper you might actually write down 1 or 2 things that you have a deep desire to do within your business. What are you doing within your business that makes you feel really enthusiastic and passionate? Now the other thing is, my hobby is creativity. That's why I've recorded so many videos for Canva Club, because I love to share what I'm doing as I'm learning as well. Now you may have heard this being said. I think Mark Twain and maybe Confucius also has said this in similar sort of terms, but for me, I wake up in the morning and I love what I'm doing. If I don't love what I'm doing, I know for a fact from a behavioural psychology perspective, willpower will only last so long. And so therefore, you know, you can read all the affirmations that you have. Someone's written affirmations book, and I love affirmations, don't get me wrong, but affirmations will only go so far. Ultimately, when we want to be doing something in flow, then the best way to do that is to find something that you love doing, because you're not working, you're actually just enjoying life. You're getting to do something that you love and you're sharing what you love. And that's what today I want this presentation to be about. I want to share with you what I've done and show you what I love, but ultimately I'm hoping that you will walk away from this presentation inspired to find something that you love. Even if this particular presentation is not about your business now, maybe you could just find one thing that you love doing, and again, write down anything that comes to mind. So if you haven't had a chance to watch one of the videos that I suggested, which was how to find your passion, that's okay. You might like to watch that at some stage. But that 20-minute video that I recorded is just, I guess, a tool that I used to use when I was doing business coaching, and it was to get individuals to really, get an understanding of how amazing you are, and the talents and gifts and experience and knowledge that you have is really precious. And so what it was a way to actually identify what are you doing right now that you could be sharing with someone. And rather than overwhelm you, because believe me, I know all about overwhelm, but one of the ways that you can minimize overwhelm is by just narrowing it down to one thing. And so what I suggest you do is, if you've got a notepad and pen handy, have 2 sheets of paper available to you. One is the ideas sheet of paper, and you can write ideas down today, tomorrow, whenever you want. But ultimately, I always have one piece of paper in front of me where I really start to narrow down the things that I really love doing. And so I want you to think about that right now. What is one topic that you love sharing? Or even more so, you might even think about, what is one topic that a lot of people ask you for advice? Because it might be something that you're actually not even doing in your life right now. It might be something, for instance, when I used to have my children's birthday parties, people used to say, oh, you're so good at organising birthday parties, and you're so good at decorating. You really go, you go all out with the decorations. And so it's no surprise that I actually set up a event management company about 25 years ago. And guess what? I primarily did decorations for weddings and corporate functions. So for me, that was just a skill that I loved. I love decorating. So, but I love a lot of things. But at each time, I really attempted to narrow it down to one area. So for you right now, don't worry about all the millions of things. Just think about one topic that you love sharing, and keep that in mind as we sort of work through this presentation. So what have I created in Canva? I've created loads of ebooks. A lot of ebooks in the beginning I really was just creating for fun. And to give you an example, the 64 tools for online business, the 2 on the left are actually free ebooks that are on my website. And the 64 tools for online business, I actually created that really quickly, like a day or something, because at the time COVID had just hit, and a lot of my past clients and workshop participants were coming to me saying, Trudy, we need something, and I had been doing all of this for the last 2 years or so. So I put all of those links that I had. You can go into that book and click on them, and it will take you straight to, for instance, a webinar platform or a audio recording platform or something. And so for me, again, it wasn't just a book. It was something that I was using for myself, and then I turned it into an ebook so that other people could use something that I was actually using at that exact time. So it can be something simple, or it can be something complex. But yesterday I decided that I was going to create a very small, short cookbook. And while I was there, I created a cookbook template, and I now have a template that I'm going to utilise with some family who are also going to be doing some online cooking classes. And so again, I'll be honest, it took me about 3 hours just because I was playing around with a lot of images, different photos and things. But ultimately the book itself, the 14 pages, took me about 2 hours just to lay it out really quickly. So things don't have to take a lot of time. You can actually learn how to do things quite easily if you just build upon the foundation. Start somewhere small and then keep building upon it. So the other things I've created is workbooks, journals, templates, and later on in the presentation I actually want you to narrow down one little thing that you might be able to create. So again, for me, I'm all about being of service. I know that people in marketing are going to use the words lead magnet and all of these other fancy words, and I don't have a problem with them being called a lead magnet, but sometimes I think that the wording is used, it's sort of it's an attempt to sell something to someone. And again, if that's not your value, if that's not something that you are comfortable with, use the word serve. Provide something of service to someone. Learn how to share your skills, and because understand that there's someone out there that needs something that you know. We are a huge global population. So for me, when I started designing some of those planners, it's because I knew that homeschooling was becoming huge, meal planning was becoming huge. I love essential oils. I am very keen on decluttering. I know a lot of people use prayer planners. So for me, when I started creating things, they were things that, one, that I wanted, but also things that people were asking me for. And I also love creating worksheets. I use worksheets for my goals, for my action plans. One of the reasons I believe that I've succeeded in creating, it's not actually 50 products, it's more than that, and you'll see throughout this presentation that just the videos I created for Canva Club were 30 videos, or actually 38. So keep in mind that everything that you create, every one thing, is a digital product. And so it's really easy, but today we're only just talking about starting with one. If you have already got lots, then you'll be starting with more than one. But if you haven't got anything yet, well then keep in mind there's something that you might be drawn to create, and Canva is a fantastic place for you to create it. Now, I guess you may have heard me talk about this in the past, but when I lost my memory 5 years ago, when I say lose my memory, it doesn't go missing forever. the whole idea of losing my memory is just an easy thing to say. But ultimately, while I waited for my neural pathways to reconnect and to rewire, I started creating or rewriting some of my programs that were easy for me to remember. So a lot of my technical online workshops I actually didn't create until a little bit later on, because initially, to be honest, I couldn't remember how to use a computer properly. I didn't have a stroke, but for some reason my brain reacted to the medications that I was given, and I looked at Photoshop and I had no idea how to use it. So when someone suggested Canva, I thought, wow, okay, this is so simple. I can drag and drop. It was, for some reason, it fell into it so easily. So when I wrote some of these online workshops and presentations, they were topics that I was learning at the time. They were topics that I was excited about, and they weren't topics that I'd taught in the last 20 years. A lot of those topics that I'd taught only started to get my memory back in the last 2 years. So, for instance, some of these are 1 hour workshops, but my grant funding success workshop is 27 different videos. So you can have something very short and you can have something very complex, but ultimately sometimes you've just got to start somewhere. And a lot of that goes back to, again, mindset and self-awareness and being, I guess, aware of where you are not taking action, or where you're possibly distracting yourself, which causes inaction. And what I mean by that is, I mean that in life we actually generally have a lot of distractions going on. We've got so many different balls that we're juggling. We're throwing them in the air, and often we're dropping them because we're actually attempting to do too much. So I know a lot of people that know a lot of stuff, but not a lot of people that do something with what they know. And we've become consumers of information. I know people that will go and download 100 worksheets. They'll go and join lots of groups. They'll go and watch webinars. They'll go on trainings. They'll just spend so much time. And that in itself isn't really being effective. Yes, sure, you're learning some stuff. That's great. But for me, sometimes you're better off just focusing on one thing, learning that, and starting something and finishing it. Because for me, having been involved in business development and coaching for small business and for government over the last 15 plus years, one of the things that I do when I go into a workshop with small business people is I say, start something and finish something. And then you can continue to do that over and over again. But a lot of people start a lot of things and they never finish it. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider something that you could start and finish in the next week or two so that you can share it with me, because I really would love to be cheering you on and celebrating with you. So as I said before, I've created more than 50 digital products because there's 30 videos, it was actually 30 plus on YouTube. Now, as you can see, all of those assets, so I'm talking about an image, I call one image an asset. Every one of those little YouTube thumbnails I created in Canva. As you can see, there's a particular color theme there for me, and I have changed the colors over the last 2 years from a light pink to this blue. Reason being is because I wasn't getting as many views as I thought that I should be with some of the great content I had in there. And so again, from a psychology perspective, I'm happy to be flexible and to change things. So everything that you see throughout this entire presentation, everything that you see inside of Canva Club, I've created in Canva. Now, all of my trainings show you how to use the free version. For me, I use some of the features for the pro version. That's the only reason I have it. But throughout every single one of those videos in there, I've taught you using the free version. So make sure that you exhaust every possibility before you go and sign up to things, because as a business coach, one thing I say to people is please stop subscribing to so many monthly things that you don't need, because it all adds up. And when you're in financial stress, you don't seem to always enjoy running your business. So if I could suggest to you, please make sure that you keep in mind to only subscribe to things, to only purchase, to only join things if you know that you're going to get the value out of it and that you're going to actually use it. The other things I've created, I guess, is all of my social media assets. On the left there, see all of my posts. I've got a particular brand theme there because I love the blush and the pink. Again, from a I guess behavioral psychology perspective, I'm not actually a very active person on social media, to be honest. I've committed the last year and a half or two to recording a lot of my online workshops. So for me, I'm more in recording mode at the moment. But when people do come to my social media, particularly my business social media, I want them to be able to feel relaxed, and that's really one of the colours that I find relaxing and that's been known to be relaxing, and that people say to me, oh Trudy, I actually found it really relaxing and peaceful when I went over to your social media. So again, different colours produce different emotion and feelings. On the right there, you'll notice that that's actually just a screenshot of my website. Now, I think about 10 years ago, I paid someone about $5,000 or maybe $7,000 to create a website for me. And to be honest, I didn't like it. So when I lost my memory, one of the things I really wanted to do was just to create a website from scratch for myself, just to, I guess in some ways, I knew deep down that rewiring of my neural pathways would occur if I spent more time in right brain activity. So for those of you that are aware, left brain is very logical, right brain is very creative, very intuitive. Now, I've spent almost 2 decades in government, so I was very much knew what left brain activity was, and so I wanted to, I guess, align my right brain activity in hope, knowing that eventually my memory would start to stream back. So, and that's exactly what happened. A lot of different neuropsychology, a lot of different exercises, looking at photos, and also being creative, I honestly believe was one of the reasons why I actually started to stream back much more of my memory than a lot of professionals even expected me to. So again, what is one area that you can think of that you could start to better utilize Canva in your business? Because that's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to think to yourself, what is one thing that you could create with the knowledge and skills that you have right now? Don't have to go and watch another webinar. You don't have to go and sign up to someone's coaching. I mean, you can if you want to, but to be honest, I'm just thinking to myself, you have so many different skills. What is one thing that you could create that you could provide to your audience? You don't even have to sell it to your audience. You can give it away to them for free. You don't even have to share it with your audience. You can keep it just for yourself. You might create a worksheet just for you. It might be a 1-page journal worksheet. Every day you wake up and you journal in there how you're feeling and draw a little picture or something. That's how I designed my meditation journal, because that's what I was doing every day. I decided I'd share with everyone my skills of what I do every day. So I've also designed quote packs that I give away on my website, and I love journals and planners. That's something that I really create very quickly because I have now a template, and so all I do is I just create a cover, add a few bits and pieces in the middle, and there you go. I've got a journal or a planner very, very quickly. So I guess I want you to do is I want you just to stop for a moment and think about something that you could create in Canva that could be either your first digital product, or it could be something that you've already been creating lots and you just want to create something totally new. Because what I want to do is I want you today to maybe think about taking action with one thing, just one. And the reason I'm saying one is because I've spent a lot of time running workshops, as I said, in behavioural psychology, and many of you may have heard of the fact that we have different personality types, but there's a part of us that is called the inner child. And the inner child is what I would probably describe sometimes as your greatest friend, but also a childlike state that sometimes gets overwhelmed, sometimes gets anxious, sometimes doesn't like trying new things, sometimes might even sabotage you from trying something new because it gets overwhelmed with too many emotional states that are from a younger age where they're unable to cope. So for me, I always say to people, when you're starting something different, just come up with one thing. There's no need for you to add extra stress to yourself or extra overwhelm. I could teach you lots of different things that you could do. You could breathe, you could meditate, you can do lots of different things. But honestly, sometimes the simplest thing is just to say, okay, I'm just going to literally put aside everything else, and just for this very brief moment in time, I'm going to just think about one thing that I could create or one thing that I could do. You don't even have to talk about what you're going to do with it, because sometimes just by going into the process of creation, you gain momentum. That's what happened with me. I know a lot of people use the word hustle. Now, to me it's a word. I don't have an issue with the word, but for me, I get into flow. I get into alignment. And when I'm feeling happy and joyful, I can create much more. And it's creating from a place of basically pure joy. It's not coming in my head. I'm not saying I've got to do this, I've got to do this. I'm actually going, wow, I'm enjoying this. I'm really loving created my cookbooks yesterday. I loved it so much. It was fantastic. So again, sometimes the best thing to do is just start off with something small and then build upon that. So write down one thing that you could think about creating and put that on your piece of paper so that we can have a little look at a bit of action that you can take at the end of this, or tomorrow, next week, whatever time frame you feel comfortable with. Now, one of the things I guess that I want you to keep in mind is that there is a lot of stock out there at the moment, and there will never be enough stock. And when I talk about stock, I'm talking about products and services. We're a global community. People are always going to need something. If people have a problem and you find a solution to their problem, then that's fantastic. But if you can just even package it just a little bit so that it looks a little bit more professional, you're then going to, I guess in some ways, rank yourself just that little bit higher than some of those that aren't going to that trouble to do that. Now, this particular workshop, I created this before Canva Pro had added some of their 3D mockups, but it shows people how to create 3D mockups online for free and also using other programs. And one of the things I love about my workshops is that every time I post something somewhere or I send it off to a small business group or a chamber of commerce or the government, they always say, wow, we love your packaging, we love your visuals. So keep in mind that there are small things that you can do to take an average looking product and design it so that it is really appealing to the eye. One of my most, popular courses over the years, I used to teach neuro-linguistic programming and I used to teach communication, and a lot of people were surprised to know that the highest majority of people are visual people. They process visually, so the more enticing you can make it, the better it is for your customers. The other thing that we also have done in the past is this is the last group on Canva Club that did the How to Create a Planner masterclass. So all of those beautiful journals that you see there, planners or journals, whatever you want to call them, they were created by people in Canva Club, and they were beautiful. I mean, look at the designs. They're enticing. They're the sorts of product that people would want to use. So I want you to keep in mind that any time that you're doing or creating anything, make sure that you make it look enticing for your audience. So before I take some questions, and I hope that I can see some questions because at the moment I'm looking at just a screen, but what action are you going to take this week that will help you and support you to create just one product? And as I said, take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to do anything with that product at the moment. I'm going to be running a few more sessions and tutorials on how you can then get your products out there. It might be via emailing them out to your community, it might be attaching them to your website, it might be using one of the millions of different digital product platforms. If you go and download my 64 plus online tools ebook from my website, it's free. You'll probably find links in there already that you can look at. But ultimately, what's just one action that you can take this week that will support you in creating something for your business? Because the more that you can actually slow down, the more effective you can be. To be honest, in 16 months that I created, or 50 plus, it's actually I think about 90 digital products in 16 months on a part-time basis. I wasn't even that well at the time, is more than I'd created workshops in about 15 years. So, and the reason is because I was too busy doing too many things and not allowing myself to stay in flow. And so for me, I implore you to consider, are you really doing what you're doing well, or could there be better ways for you to be doing things? And by better ways, I guess I'm asking you to really be honest about what you're doing. Is what you're doing effective, or do you need to consider the way you do things and find better ways to do things? Be more effective with your time rather than just running around doing lots of things and not being effective at all. So that's the question I'm posing to you today, because ultimately what I want you to do is I want you to stop waiting and start creating, because I really believe that we underestimate the value of being in creative mode. If you've ever done a painting, if you've ever made something with your hands, if you've ever sang, if you've ever danced, if you've ever written a song or a poem or whatever it might be, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes the creative aspect of life is not necessarily valued, and I think we need to start valuing creativity much more, because most of my best business ideas have come when I've been in creation mode, not when I've been writing a business plan. Trust me, I've written lots of business plans. Most of my best and well thought out ideas have come when I've had a big huge piece of paper in front of me with highlighters, and I've just been drawing out. I've done a mind map of some sort, and I come up with the most amazing ideas when I'm in creative mode. Of course, then I have to put on my left side brain activity and then become a bit more logical and structured about how I'm going to go and take action with that. So we need a combination of both. And so I would love you to stop waiting. We don't need to procrastinate anymore, because procrastination really is, I guess, in some ways fear-based. And if you believe that maybe you've got some limitations, the best thing that you can do if you're a business owner, or even if you're not a business owner, is start to practice self-awareness. Start to ask yourself, am I having an emotional fear come up right now, or am I sabotaging my activities? I've got loads of free worksheets on my website, how to clear limiting beliefs. So there's a podcast you can listen to. So there's lots of stuff on there that you can go and get for free. I think there's 20 free resources at wholeside.com, my website. So let me now see if I can find your questions, because again, I apologise. I can see that there have been some comments, but how can I can't see them, and it's crazy. Let me just see. No questions. Let me just I'm going to post them in a particular spot here to see if that's something that that you can even see. But unfortunately, I had this same issue came up the other day, where I just couldn't see the questions. It wasn't until I logged on that I actually saw the questions. So let me see if I can go there. Let me see if I can go and see the questions. Okay, so hello to everyone that's on there. I've had to go to a different page. Hi, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, I would love to see them or hear them. But as I said, it's a great reminder for me that I need to use the platform that I had all along. So just I guess what I want to do is I just want to ask a quick question. I'm just going to type it out. So, okay, let's see again. I can't, normally it would show up the question that I'm asking, but I actually can't see that either. So I'm just, the question that I've asked is, do you have any digital products? And Just checking to see whether that poll would come through there. Okay, thank you so much. I've got a question. If using... So, the question, Natalie, thank you, Natalie. Yes, you can print work using the free Canva. So I'll just get to this one, Natalie. So yeah, so basically, yes, you can. You can print anything, either inside of Canva, the actual platform itself. But to be honest, I guess for me, I either print things on my own computer, or I'll take them somewhere else to be professionally done. When I've got workbooks, for instance, I've got a binder here at home, so I'll get everything printed professionally if it's a load of workbooks, but if it's a small amount of workbooks, I'll print them at home, and I've got a little binder here and I'll bind them all myself. So hopefully that's answered your question, Natalie. If it hasn't, please feel free to ask again. I've only just saw the question then, so I hope that means so. And Gator, Boxes appeared asking any questions, did a test but couldn't submit. No, it's actually now thank you so much, Gator, for sharing that with me. I've actually now come on to, I've got a couple of different screens in my studio here, so I've actually using another screen. I can see the questions in another screen, but not in the actual live producer part of Facebook. Maybe that's what I'll also do. I might record a workshop, just a short tutorial on Facebook Live, because it is a little bit confusing, particularly, as I said, because I wanted to share a look at you. I wanted to be able to look at you when I was talking as well. So if anyone has any other questions, but please feel free to ask them. If you miss asking them today, please at any time go to, I think it's Guide 4 or Guide 40. What I might do is, while we're here, I might actually go into Canva Club, and I just might actually just show people, inside of Canva Club, just while you're asking it. Look for any other questions, so you can ask me. I'll be able to see them. But what I might do is, I just also want to show you, this is where the guides are. I've had a lot of people that have been asking me where to find things. So again, it's going to look a little bit different because this is the back end for me. But this is where you're going to find all the guides. Now, you've got to keep in mind that I think that How to Navigate Inside Canva Club was recorded about 1.5 years ago. So again, don't mind that I might call them units, but Facebook, gotta love them, probably never taught anyone anything in their life, but they use the word guides, not a natural word for me, but so they're now called guides, but they used to be called units. So once you go into there, you can press on it and watch a video, but in Guide 4, that's where you can ask all your questions. The reason being is because I actually am not on social media a lot. I'm actually really focused and in recording mode. So for me, if you put it there, I'll go looking for it. If you put it into the normal posts here, I've actually got alert up. I think they just get deleted from now on because it just clogs everything up. But ultimately, what you do is you just press on one of those and press play on the video. So again, it's very easy to navigate. So let me just check to see if we've got any other questions. One of the licensings allow you to use without being a paid subscriber. Okay, so the best thing to do, Natalie, is can I suggest that you read their terms and conditions, because some of their graphics, even if you're in the use the free version, you can use the graphics. Obviously, when you're the pro version, you get a different type of graphics that you can use. But ultimately, it boils down to a few different things. One is, are you using those graphics and are you sharing them as part of your, I guess, creation? Or is that particular creation something that you are selling? So there are some slight technicalities about what you do with licensing, and trust me, I've actually had a legal person go through, and even they have shook their heads and said, okay, it's still not very clear, but there are some very specific clear things in there regarding licensing. And please, Natalie, if I forget, remind me, and I will send the link to you. You can go straight to the terms and agreements in Canva and have a look about licensing, what you can and what you can't do with their graphics and their templates. Particularly keep in mind, a lot of the stuff that's in Canva is created by Canva employees, but then there's also a lot of stuff that is actually provided in there as like templates, for instance, from other people. And so you have to be mindful that you can use the assets, but you can't necessarily just, plagiarize or take their assets and then sell it as your own. But again, remind me, Natalie, and I'll show you that. Amanda, welcome from the UK, and welcome to everyone else. Another great thing that's happened at the moment is as the questions come up, they pop down. So I can't actually see where everyone else was, but I really just know I love you and welcome. Was this recorded? Amanda, let's cross our fingers that it was. I'm hoping it was. Once I stop the live, I'll be able to tell you, and I'll make sure that it goes in this particular space. Now, also, where do you get photos to use for your templates? Okay, so Gemma, good question. In my particular free book, I'm pretty sure I've listed in there a whole range of different topics, but you basically copyright-free templates, copyright-free images that I use. So you can either go to Google and actually search specifically for copyright-free photos, but also you can also go to places like Unsplash, and there's so many. They're not in my head at the moment, but there are loads of them. So keep that in mind. I'm pretty sure that in one of my tutorials, Gemma, I even actually talk about using photos. But again, feel free to ask that in the question section, and I might be able to link some stuff. Yes, Natalie, it does do my head in as well. Have a look over it. Good luck. Yeah, it definitely is something that you need to look at. Oh, thank you so much, Gator, for that license agreement. I appreciate that. I've got a whole heap of links somewhere, and it saves me having to find it. So thank you so much for that. Any other questions? Yeah, Pixels, Pixabay, yeah, there's loads of them. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Gator. Yeah, there are so many different places that have copyright-free images. The same with audio. I use a lot of different audio backgrounds. I've been running meditation classes for 10 plus years. I've recorded loads of meditations. So I've, again, been very mindful of using copyright-free, or have bought licenses that have given me the ability to actually use them in my products. So any other questions at all? Okay, so I think we might have exhausted the questions. So as I said, I'm happy to answer questions at any time. I sometimes just don't get into the group as often because I'm in recording mode. Over the next couple of weeks, I'd love to find out more about where you're at, what you need, because ultimately the more effective you can be, the more productive you can be. And for me, I'm all about balance in life. My health crisis was a really big reminder to stop doing a lot but not actually getting a lot out of what I was doing. So for me, I'm much more focused. I might even do it behind the scenes in the next couple of weeks. I've got a list here of what I've got to do, so maybe the next month of behind the scenes in my recording studio here. I've got whiteboards everywhere, I've got sheets of paper, I've got post-it notes. I'm very much about being productive and effective. I'm not into time wasting. I want to spend more time with my kids, my partner, and being at the beach and enjoying coffees than wasting time scrolling through social media and watching things when I already know so much. I know that you know a lot, and now I would love you to do something with that lot of knowledge that you have, because someone out there needs it, and really honestly someone's going to be so grateful that you actually are sharing your knowledge. So Much love from me to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Press replay for those that want to watch the replay, and I'm really hoping, Amanda, that that is actually as recorded, because I did something similar in Facebook a couple of days ago, and it really, let's just say we had some problems. So much love from me to you. I'm going to sign off now. Enjoy, happy creating, and I really look forward to seeing the action that you take. I'm going to have a few more reminders in there to remind you to just, focus, be productive, and spend the rest of your life enjoying everything else, rather than shuffling paper. Let's get more effective. Let's get you succeeding in your business, and most importantly, do everything from a heart space, and love the people that you're serving, rather than just trying to sell something. Okay, enjoy. Happy Sunday. Much love, and I'll see you again soon in Canva Club. Bye for now.